Good afternoon, everyone. For all of our in-person guests, I'd be delighted if you could take a seat. Thank you. Great. How exciting to be in a room full of people. Physically distanced, of course, but it's really lovely to have you with us. Thank you. So good afternoon and welcome. My name is Sarah Napier. I'm the CEO of United Way Halifax, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the 95th annual general meeting. And I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Acknowledging the Mi'kmaq ancestral territory is our way of showing respect for and honoring our shared treaty relationship. To uphold our duties and responsibility as treaty people, we at United Way Halifax are committed to building relationships with Indigenous organizations and peoples in Kjipuktuk. Applying the principles of reconciliation to our work, we offer our networks, our voices, and our resources. We invite others to join in moving forward in an atmosphere of understanding, dignity, and respect towards reconciliation. And in that spirit of reconciliation, it is critical to acknowledge the tragic discoveries at former residential schools in the past many months. Let us take a moment of silence to recognize the losses of thousands of children whose bodies have been discovered in unmarked graves across the country, and let us send our collective thoughts to the families and communities who still mourn them. Thank you. This is our second virtual AGM. And like I said a moment ago, I do feel very fortunate that this year we are able to gather a little bit in person too. With me today are United Way staff members, current and soon to be announced United Way members of the Board of Directors, and a few other special guests who are a part of the agenda. And I'd also like to extend thanks to the Halifax Convention Centre for hosting us today and for the team on site who's made this event possible. While I look forward to a future time when all of our donors, partners, and community members can gather safely in person again, I'm delighted that we're able to share with so many virtually today as well. So whether you're in person or joining us online, thank you so much for making it a priority to be here today. Our AGM in September 2020 was 6 months into the pandemic. Here we are 1 year later, and so many challenges have continued, and the important work of United Way has supported the community every step of the way. We've all experienced a second and a third wave of COVID-19. Many have experienced hardship, loss, loneliness, and disconnection. Our funding of community programs, our voice of strength and compassion, and our work to improve conditions and alleviate impacts of poverty have been even more necessary and impactful than ever before. And although this year has been extremely challenging, perhaps even more so than we imagined even at the end of the first wave of COVID-19, there has also been hope and momentum. COVID-19 has helped more people see poverty, racism, and inequity differently. It's brought a new, broader-based understanding for those who are precariously housed, who work for low wages, experience food insecurity, or are more likely to experience isolation and discrimination. The pandemic has drawn attention to, and in many cases, exacerbated existing issues. It has certainly helped to change conversations, and it's our job to keep those conversations moving forward. The pandemic has also helped all of us harness creativity and develop innovative and new ways of connecting and collaborating. And this is also true for United Way Halifax and our work over the past year. We've seen ourselves and really leaning into our values of collaboration more than ever, and the results tell us that this is a good thing. We are indeed better together. And better together is the theme of this year's annual report, which once again is fully digital. You can find it on our website, but I'd like to take you through just a few highlights. In 2020-21, we recognized 20 Bayana Family Foundation Invisible Champions at a virtual awards ceremony. The Invisible Champions Awards are given out to the unsung heroes of the nonprofit sector. And by partnering with the foundation, as well as the Community Sector Council in the province of Nova Scotia, we were able to expand the awards and related bursary program across the province. We also launched the first request for proposals for the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund. You'll hear more about that later today as a part of a panel discussion. We were very proud to partner to support the Everyone Everyday pilot project, which was led by the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Centre. This was a neighborhood building project that brought people together from various backgrounds to learn new skills, share cultural learnings from elders and community members, and build new connections within their neighborhood. And we brought donors, government, and community organizations together through a huge series of funding supports and programs for COVID-19 relief. So each of us played a different role, and none of us could have done all of this alone. The generosity that we've experienced in the last year tells another special story. Many individuals and corporate donors stepped up to donate to COVID-19 relief, knowing people needed immediate support. And the donor generosity continued. Many people and organizations donated again to the Community Fund through the United Way Fall campaign. In other cases, corporate donors who understood their employees were under additional stress increased corporate gifts. Employees who weren't able to get together in person came up with creative fundraisers. New partners joined in. Many people made second and sometimes even third gifts to United Way in a year when that generosity was even more important than ever before. We are so humbled by this incredible compassion for community and the belief that those donors and supporters put in us to steward their donations for great impact within Halifax. Like many organizations, we went into the fall of 2020 campaign season not knowing what to expect. But one thing was clear. Due to the pandemic's impact on economic and social needs, many charities across the country and right here at home were experiencing higher demand for their services, and there were many fewer options for fundraising. We knew our funded partners were counting on United Way donors to help meet those needs, and the community stepped up with incredible generosity. In an uncertain time for all of us, we were thrilled when we were able to make all of our multi-year funding commitments for the year. Then when the third wave of COVID-19 hit HRM in April, the local organizations needed support again to keep on going and meet those increased needs. And again, donors quietly stepped up to that challenge. So it's just a genuine and big thank you to every person who is a bit of that relief and all of the other things that have made the work of United Way possible over the past year. We are grateful at United Way, the board, the staff, and all of the organizations we work with. It truly is a remarkable demonstration of generosity and commitment. We are also hopeful that as a municipality and region that we are on the path to recovery. But as we move into the recovery stage, we realize not everyone has fared well. You may have heard throughout the pandemic that we're all in this together, or we're all weathering the same storm. And while that may be true, we also know that not everyone was able to weather that storm equally. It may have been the same storm, but we're all in different boats. Bigger boats could make it through the waves, while smaller ones struggled more. And not everyone can bounce back so easily to the way things were before. And although there is continued resiliency in the community, there is also exhaustion, and we hear that from all of our partners in community as well. There are many people, myself included, who don't believe that reverting back to normal will serve people better or serve our organization better. Other community organizations have recognized this too. They've had the chance to bridge the digital divide and provide their services differently. In many cases, the changes they made to serve people throughout the pandemic are positive ones that they want to keep. And while there are some aspects of the old normal that I hope to see again, including being with one another more and more, I ask us to always be guided by the compassion we feel for one another and this community, and remember that we can do more to create positive impact when we work together. And United Way Halifax is certainly honored to serve the community. That's something that I feel genuinely to my core. I know the staff team does, our board, our volunteers, and it's a real honor to be a contributor and a partner and an ally towards change. And a really important part of that service to our community is our board leadership. Today, Craig Thompson, who is our current chair of the board, completes his 2-year term in that role. And his strategic guidance, his empathy, and his genuine commitment has served United Way and the community so very well. And he has also served as an amazing mentor to me. So please join me in expressing appreciation as I invite Craig to come forward to guide us through the next portion of the AGM. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Serving as board chair for the last 2 years has really been a great honor for me and an opportunity to give back to community, which obviously I encourage everyone to do, but it's like many times with community organizations, you get far more back than you give, so it's been a true honor, and working with Sarah has been a real pleasure, so thank you. As the chair for at least a few more minutes, it's my honor to be here with my board colleagues and the United Way Halifax staff team, and I'm so pleased to have the opportunity to share virtually with all of our guests, donors, partners, and friends. So we do have a little business to take care of, and as required by bylaw number 1, Article 4.03, notice of this meeting was shared through email, the organization's website, and the organization's social media channels on August 17th, 2021. I can report that the quorum required for this annual meeting has been met. The agenda for today's meeting, the minutes of last year's annual general meeting, the report from the Governance Committee, and the 2020-2021 financial statements, which contain the consolidated statement of revenue and expenditures, and the balance sheet have been made available on United Way Halifax's website. To access these documents, please go to the United Way Halifax website, scroll down the page to the events section, and click on Annual General Meeting. The complete set of minutes is available online. The 94th Annual General Meeting of the United Way Halifax was held on September 9th, 2020 via Zoom webinar. During the business portion of the meeting, the consolidated financial statements were approved by members, and the auditors, Grant Thornton, were appointed. During the meeting, we also welcomed 6 new members to our board: Jane Fraser, Suzanne Fougier, Bradley Day, Laura Godso, Captain Sean Williams, and Nicole Johnson-Morrison. At the same time, we thanked and said goodbye to board members Monica Foster, Claudette Porter, Patrick O'Regan, and Melissa Marsman. We also approved a series of changes to our organizational bylaws. Monica Foster received the Helen Cooper Award for Outstanding Volunteer Commitment. Tom Rose and his family and his business, Atlantic Business Interiors, were recognized with the Community Spirit Award. And BMO and Medivy received the Partnership Award. The Evelyn Barkhouse Long Service Award was presented to Trina Fraser, the Executive Director of the East Preston Daycare and Family Resource Center. The board acknowledged the impact of COVID-19 on community and marginalized populations and highlighted the response from United Way through the Atlantic Compassion Fund. That concludes the summary of the 94th Annual AGM meeting minutes, and we require approval of the minutes as circulated. Please feel free to move or vote on motions if you are a resident of the Halifax Regional Municipality or the Municipality of East Hants and believe in the vision and the mission of this United Way. If you wish to move or second, please raise your hand if you are here in person, or type your first and last name into the chat box if you're attending virtually. So the motion is that the meeting minutes of the 94th Annual General Meeting be approved. Max, to motion. Seconder, Brad. The poll is now available on your screen, and please submit your vote. The motion has been carried. Thank you very much. I'd now like to introduce Suzanne Fouchier to bring forth a report from the Audit and Finance Committee. Suzanne.
Thanks, Craig. I'm pleased to present this report to the community on behalf of the United Way Halifax Board of Directors. And in particular, I do want to take a moment to thank the other members of the Audit, Finance and Risk Committee, our committee chair, Dale Noseworthy, and I'm presenting this report on her behalf today, as well as Chair of the Board, Craig Thompson, Kent Lane, and Nicole Johnson-Morrison. On behalf of the committee and the board, I also wish to extend thanks to our auditors, Grant Thornton, and in particular, Katrina Beach, as well as Allison Butcher, who continue to provide superior quality services to United Way Halifax. A complete set of the audited financial statements can be found online at United Way Halifax's website. You can also obtain a copy by contacting the United Way Halifax office at 46 Portland Street in Dartmouth. The auditors note that the financial statements fairly present the financial position of the organization according to generally accepted accounting principles. As is customary for not-for-profit organizations, the auditors qualify their opinion related to the completeness and timing of fundraising revenue. It's important to note that our financials for 2020-21 are different than in previous years. In 2020, we changed our fiscal year to better align with our fundraising and funding cycles. Previously, our fiscal year ran from January 1st to December 31st. In 2020, we moved to a March 31st year end, which resulted in a 3-month stub period. As well, in 2020, we moved to a cash-based accounting approach for our donations. This means that we count revenue as it is received by year end. We previously used a pledge-based accounting approach, which recognized revenue when donations were pledged, often well in advance of when a donation was made. I'll now take a few minutes to summarize some highlights from the statements. As a result of the generous donations to the Atlantic Compassion Fund as well as government grants, the net revenue reached $8.9 million. We also received a federal government subsidy totaling $393,000. Fundraising expenses totaled $977,000. When compared to last year, the decrease is mainly due to the impact of the pandemic. We received $4.2 million from both provincial and federal governments for COVID relief efforts. This was an unprecedented, and this total amount includes community investments as well as the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. In addition, COVID also impacted the way we work, and while we were busy making investments transitioning all that we do online, we were also able to realize savings because the year transpired differently than we expected. United Way Halifax provided a total of 4 rounds of COVID-related emergency funding in the year that totaled $4.4 million. Our total commitment to community investment and agency programs increased from $1.1 million to $1.2 million. Our total support for community in 2020-21 was $7.6 million. This amount includes United Way Halifax's COVID emergency funding, our direct investment in agency programs, designations that donors ask us to provide to other charities, funding we provide to neighborhood initiatives, 211 Nova Scotia, as well as our community impact expenditures that support the overall work that we do in community related to poverty, housing, homelessness, and inclusiveness. Due to reduced operating expenses as well as the government grants and the supports I recently referenced, we ended the fiscal year with a surplus of $781,000, which strengthened the financial position of the organization. The balance sheet can be found on page 4 of the financial statements. The balance sheet consolidates the segregated funds of the organization, which include the General Fund, the Capital Asset Fund, the Tomorrow Fund, as well as the Reserve for Future Operations. Liquidity risk at the year-end was greatly reduced. The March 31st, 2021 values for our segregated funds were as follows. The General Fund was $315,000, and the Tomorrow Fund was $3.3 million. In conclusion, I would like to report that the Board of Directors approved the 2020-2021 audited financial statements at the board meeting held on June 15th, 2021. I would now like to put forward the motion that the Audit, Finance, and Risk Committee report be adopted as presented. I'll call for a mover. Max, and a seconder. I think Kenny seconded, yeah. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. I would now like to put forward the following motion, that the firm of Grant Thornton be appointed as the auditors for United Way Halifax for 2021. I'll call for a mover. Brad? Laura as seconder? Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you. I'll now pass things back to Craig Thompson, our chair, to deliver the chair's report.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank you so much for hosting us in the beautiful Halifax Convention Center. So nice to be here. Thank you again to the United Way Halifax staff team for putting together the AGM. It's wonderful to see many of my board colleagues here in person again, and I'm especially pleased to be able to acknowledge the staff team in person. The United Way Halifax staff have really gone above and beyond to demonstrate their values over the last year. Like many of us, they've adapted to a changing workplace landscape, including changing how they run fundraising campaigns, executing multiple calls for funding, advocating for change, and exhibiting compassion through it all. The leadership of the team didn't go unnoticed by the board, and it didn't go unnoticed by the community. The board was thrilled when United Way Halifax won the Not-for-Profit of the Year at the Halifax Business Awards in March. Not only was it an achievement to be recognized amongst other incredible voices in the nonprofit sector, it was an honor to be the first ever winner of this award. 2021 marked the first time ever that the Halifax Chamber of Commerce included the nonprofit sector in their awards, and it was truly humbling to be included amongst the top organizations in the city. That recognition would not have happened with the leadership of Sarah Napier and the staff team, who have really leaned into United Way's role in the community. They've demonstrated the value of United Way as an expert in community issues and poverty solutions. Last year, with the support of the creative agency Wonder Inc., they executed 2 eye-opening campaigns. The first, No Home, saw installations across HRM, which included sleeping bags and props and a sticker that said, No Home. The sticker was modeled after the famous Instagram sticker that says, Stay Home. They also included cardboard signs that said things like, When this is over, I'll still be here. The installations grabbed attention in the media and online, both locally and abroad, and won 15 awards. In December, amid the hustle and bustle of the holiday season, they executed a second campaign to raise awareness of the number of people in need of support in Halifax. 100,000 used a random name generator to come up with 100,000 names to represent each person who needs support, They were printed on a jaw-dropping 107-foot banner that was installed outdoors in Dartmouth. This installation also drew the attention of media and is a winner of a Communication Arts Award. We continue to hear comments from people who have seen these installations and who tell us how impactful and memorable they were. I'm also very pleased to acknowledge the growth of the organization in terms of its commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. Over the last few years, the staff and board at United Way Halifax have been on a cultural humility journey. That journey took a significant turn this past year when the organization made a concerted effort to dedicate resources to equity, diversity, and inclusion work. We now have a staff member dedicated to coordinating the EDI work, and EDI goals have been developed across the entire organization. The board has been involved as well. We've had the opportunity to participate in some of the staff training, the same training as staff, and we spend time at each board meeting listening to first voice perspectives. This year, I'm very proud to introduce our first ever Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Report. The fully digital report shares the story of our journey, as well as stories of how we provide funding, advocate for change, and build communities. In it, you'll find some concrete examples of work that the organization has done, statements about our commitment in action, and facts and stats. In the stories, you will hear directly from the people we have built relationships with, and while you'll find the staff and board are proud of the work that we have been done, this is meant to be a demonstration of transparency. We don't need a checklist or report card or a pat on the back. That's not what this report is about. But we know that as donors, supporters, and stakeholders, you are interested to know more about the work we're doing in this space. We hope this helps you understand it better, and we are committed to reporting back each year. We have a couple of stories this year between the EDI report and the annual report that reference the COVID-19 relief funding that we were able to disperse in community. But I want to go further with these stories to acknowledge what a huge undertaking it was to ensure that the funds from donors and governments made it to those who needed it most in community. The staff team has always done an excellent job building and stewarding relationships. But the trust from government to disperse millions of dollars to the community and the gratitude from community organizations receiving the funds shows how the policies and practices that we have in place prepared us for this. That's not to say it was easy. While stories in the news might have made it appear seamless, there were applications to be built, hours and hours of review time, and dozens of communications with a huge number of community organizations. Timelines were tight, the usual site visits were impossible, and then when it was all done, United Way managed the process, collecting data and reporting back. The care and consideration put into this work was truly exceptional, and the board is very hopeful this will lead to more partnerships with government and businesses to help tackle inequity in our community. One partnership I'm really excited to see coming to life is a new Memorandum of Understanding that we've signed with the Halifax Partnership. The Halifax Partnership has long understood the path of economic growth in the city that we're on. But one thing that's become increasingly obvious is not everyone is benefiting from this growth. Some people are being left behind. With the Halifax Partnership's expertise as an economic advisor and United Way Halifax's expertise as a social advisor, we've entered into a 3-year agreement to work together to make inclusive growth a reality in Halifax. The Halifax Partnership also has significant relationships with businesses across HRM, businesses that we know want to engage their employees and connect them to community. We can offer our expertise in employee engagement, giving, volunteerism, and more. And I'm really excited to see how this partnership can grow and change economic growth in our community. Finally, as Sarah mentioned, I'd like to acknowledge this is my last AGM as chair of the board, and I've really enjoyed my time on the board as chair and getting to know the staff and my fellow board members. But I'm also thrilled to pass along to somebody who I know is going to take the organization to even greater heights. So I'd like to introduce you to Kenny Hilaire. Kenny is the new United Way Halifax board chair, who is also hosting a panel discussion on the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund. Kenny is the manager of operations for ProSci. He's been a volunteer with United Way since 2018, and he's been on the board since 2019. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Kenny Hilaire.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Sarah, and the entire United Way Halifax team for the very warm welcome. I'm incredibly pleased and humbled to be here today. As Craig mentioned, it's been about 3 years that I've been volunteering for United Way Halifax in some capacity now. And I've been incredibly astonished with the work that we do, but more importantly, the passion from every member of staff and everybody on the board behind that work. It is my absolute honor to be the next chair of the board of such a wonderful organization. I look forward to supporting the good work we do here in community. I'm also very honored to host our upcoming panel conversation on the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund. You'll soon hear from the panelists that this is a fairly new funding opportunity offered by United Way Halifax in support of community centers that offer kitchens and food service in their community. It is one of the many ways that United Way is innovating to support and elevate the needs of community. At the heart of the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund is one core idea: good food feels great, and sharing it with people you care about even better. And because not everyone in our community gets to experience the benefits of good food and welcoming kitchens, the United Way Halifax Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund was born. It was created in 2019 by two long-standing partners of United Way, BMO and Medavie. They saw an opportunity to bring their interests, United Way's priorities, and the needs of community together. They each donated $300,000, and thanks to their leadership and vision, United Way Halifax is now on the way to improving neighborhood kitchens in HRM, where healthy food is a tool for building community and well-being. Over a period of 4 years, funding for renovation and improvement projects will be provided through the fund. The kitchen projects will result in more dignified spaces and upgraded equipment, making it easier for people to gather, find support, eat well, and build social and food skills. We're talking about the fund here today because the first round of funding was invested just earlier this year. We've included the story in our annual report, and today we're going to try to bring it off the page and into more of a conversation. To do that, we've assembled a panel of 4 people who are connected to the fund in different ways, so they can share their perspectives and experience with us. I'd first like to welcome Veronica Marsman. Veronica is the property manager at Akuma Holdings Limited. She's here representing Akuma Holdings, which has 320 acres of property, which they're working to develop. Akuma Holdings is committed to providing stewardship of its assets to create economic and social opportunities for the African Nova Scotian community and general society. Akuma was one of the first recipients of funding through the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund. Welcome, Veronica.
Thank you.
I'd also like to welcome Dennis Adams. Dennis is the Executive Director of Love Nova Scotia, and over the past 20 years, Love has been working with youth one-on-one to transform their lives. United Way Halifax has provided Love with program funding for several years, and Dennis is here today because he was a volunteer on the independent funding panel that reviewed and considered the funding applications that United Way received for the Kitchen Fund. Welcome, Dennis. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome Jordan Condren. Jordan is the Vice President of Financial Planning at BMO, and he was also a volunteer on the funding panel, the same one that Dennis served on. He's here today to share what that experience was like for him. And as I mentioned earlier, BMO is one of the co-founders of the Kitchen Fund, so we're looking forward to hearing from his perspective. That connection enabled him to gain a different perspective of the needs in our community by becoming a volunteer. Welcome, Jordan. And last but certainly not least, I have the pleasure of introducing Karen Gilmore, who's the first person that I ever met at United Way Halifax. Karen is the Community Sector and Investment Manager at United Way Halifax. She coordinates and oversees the disbursements and investments that United Way is making in community, including through the Kitchen Fund. She facilitated the volunteer panel that Dennis and Jordan were part of and has connected with every organization that is receiving funding. Welcome, Karen. So, Karen, let's go ahead and start the discussion with you. Since this is a relatively newer fund for the United Way. Would love to hear a little bit more about the purpose of the fund and how it all worked.
Thanks, Kenny. I'd love to share that. So the purpose of this fund is targeted and specific, and it's about improving neighborhood kitchens in HRM. These are the places and spaces that are vital to these organizations and the people they serve, and this fund was really meaningful to do that. The team at United Way has a lot of experience. We're well known for our multi-year funding, and we've been doing it for many, many years. But this kitchen fund was somewhat different. Our investments, they were, for multi-year, there's a wide range of programs that address poverty, social isolation, and housing needs. But because this was the first time we were allocating funds specifically for neighborhood kitchens, we had to design the process from start to finish. And that was a collaborative effort between both staff and volunteers. And two of those volunteers, as Kenny had mentioned, are here with us today. And there were a number of volunteers involved. I'm looking out. Brad Smith was one of those folks, and many others who you'll find listed in our annual general report. And I encourage you to take a look at that list. That list is a way to honor the time, energy, and wisdom that folks shared and really created this fund together. I truly can't thank them enough for this work. None of us, as someone said earlier, can do these things alone. So there were two groups that volunteered, and one of the group of volunteers was assembled to design the request for proposals. So those folks had experience building and operating commercial kitchens, not what you typically think of when you think of multi-year program funding. And they were able to advise and guide me to design the funding application and its requirements in a way that would ensure the right things were being considered. There's a lot of moving parts when you think about a kitchen renovation or upgrade, no matter how large or small. Something as simple as, will that fridge that we're going to buy actually fit through our door? You have to know those things, and this panel was essential to support this work. So once the application was designed and community organizations were invited to apply, a second group of volunteers were assembled. And that's the panel that Dennis and Jordan were both part of. So this group of folks, they reviewed, considered, and discussed every application we received. And using a specific set of funding criteria and considering the funds we had available for investment this year, they recommended 10 organizations receive funding, and that included Akuma Holdings.
Thank you, Karen. Clearly, a lot of work went into the design of this and in its execution as well. And having been on one of the funding panels, I can absolutely relate. In addition to needing to design a fairly new application process for this, was there anything else that was different or unique about the fund from your perspective?
Well, it was a completely new and innovative response. So this response was not something that just came out of the air. It was informed by community. Those places and spaces in the community said that this is what the need was that existed in community. And we know social isolation and food insecurity are so prevalent in our communities now, and this is certainly a solution working toward those things. And it's an example of how, with support from donors, United Way can continue to evolve in the way that we support community. As community needs shift and evolve over time, it's essential, and it's our duty to do the same and to bring donors, volunteers, and other people to join along with us in that.
Thank you, Karen. Dennis, I'm going to come to you next. United Way and Love have been, community partners for a very, very long time, but volunteering on this panel was a first-time experience for you. Can you say a little bit more about that? I'd love to hear what that was like for you, and then what stood out to you the most.
I'm going to be really honest today. I've been told I can be real honest. I'm going to do that. Committee work, I've done a lot of it in that, and, it's been work. It's been work, collaborating with people, connecting with people you don't know, that kind of stuff. And it's always been an extra for me, but this was different. And you guys didn't pay me to do this, to say this. It was different because The people cared, number one. They cared about community. They cared about, like, we were there for all the right reasons. And everybody had an expertise. Karen, I have to give you kudos here. Incredible job, great leadership, making sure that every voice was heard, every point was made. And these are easy words to say, but I can't imagine, putting all that together and doing it. Great job, Karen. So, yeah, this was different because it was actually fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, and that was new to me. Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. And so, you have an interesting perspective, right? Because you've been on the receiving end of funding, and then you participated in this particular panel as well. And so, from that perspective, as the executive director of Love and as a volunteer on the panel, why do you think targeted and creative funding solutions like this one are really needed in community? Wow.
One of the great things you can say in this business, I call it a business, of helping people, is making sure that the services, the money goes to the right, people, the people who need it. And you guys do a really good job of that. I hope we do it at Love Nova Scotia. I hope we do the same job. So when the right people get the right services and so on, it's gratifying. It's gratifying to the whole team, and it gives you optimism, enthusiasm, and motivation. And yeah, I don't know, I'm in a gratitude, thankful mode, obviously, today. It was easy to come here today to do this today, because I consider the United Way an ally. And I'm going to be in my honesty mode here. Being a black ED in Nova Scotia isn't always easy, but when you have allies, it makes it much easier. So United Way is definitely an ally, and I wanted to say that publicly. Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for sharing that. It's very powerful. Thank you. Veronica, being one of the first organizations to receive funding through the funding, really want to hear your perspective on, what difference can funding like this make for organizations like yourselves or for the communities that you support? And if you could tell us a bit more about the project that Akuma Holdings is working on as well, and how that will help fulfill your vision and mission.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. First of all, I want to say thank you to United Way for their application process, which was very unique. As a charitable organization, we often complete applications, spend hours and hours, and either you have to pay to have the application completed, which means you're taking money from your operating funds to pay somebody to do it, and there's no guarantee that it'll be accepted, or you're spending hours of your time completing it. But this was different. We completed the application, which wasn't that tedious, and then instead of the usual approved or not approved, you get the denial letter or not, they said, hey, we like your concept, but we have some questions. We want to help you through this. Wow, I was almost blown out of my chair at that point, because I thought, that's good. They're not saying no, so I have an opportunity to bump it up a notch. And met with Karen, and we went through all the details that she talked about, oh gosh, we want this stove. What about fire compression? What's fire compression? Anyhow, they were able to help us through it. So we're really excited. And of course, thank you, Jordan, for the money from the BMO, because none of this would be possible. So I just wanted to say that and get that out the air first. So our kitchen at the Henry G. Bald Center, it's a community center that is located in close proximity to three major historic black communities in our province: East Preston, North Preston, and Cherrybrook Lake Loon. And that facility is utilized immensely. Now, of course, COVID threw a wrench in everything, but it's utilized quite a bit. And I'm really pleased at the fact that as a not-for-profit, we're able to give back to community, because we have a very modest rental fee that we charge. I challenge anybody to, right now we charge $25 an hour, so if you know of any place else that you can rent in the city for $25 an hour, let me know. And it's a nice big open facility to accommodate between 80 and 100 folks. So we get great use out of that facility. In 2014, we renovated it. We had the funds to renovate, but we did not have the funds to furnish it or provide the appliances for it. So of course, what does a not-for-profit do? We go to government warehouse. So we went to the government warehouse. We got some good appliances, but hey, it's 7 years later. The fridge doesn't work any longer. Well, it works, but it freezes everything. You know, a couple of the burners on the stove aren't working properly. So when we seen this opportunity to apply for the Kitchen Neighborhood Fund, it was ideal. So we have tons of functions in our center. It's being used for celebrations such as birthday parties, benefit dances, bridal and baby showers, retirement parties, going away parties, staff Christmas parties, in addition to meetings, to workshops, to training sessions, fitness classes, stress management sessions, you name it. It can occur at our facility. So with all of those events, often comes the need for food. Whether it's even just water being provided, but you need a place to house all of that. So our facility gets great use. How this relates to what Akuma's commitment is that we are always looking at ways that we can give back to our community. Food is always the central place that brings people together, and our facility is able to do that. So with the refurbished appliances that will be in that facility, we know it'll get even more use. So we're looking forward to that.
Thank you. And first of all, I got to get on your contact list because those events sound amazing.
Yes.
So remind me to do that.
Yes.
Just as a quick follow-up, you know, you talked a lot about the people that you're going to be able to serve with everything as things get refurbished. Having these, you know, everything be updated and brought up to speed in that kitchen, what does that mean? Or what do you think that will mean to the community and the people that you serve? What difference do you think that'll make in community?
Oh, great difference. Last year, we were able to host a local caterer, was able to use our kitchen. But unfortunately, you know, she met with some challenges because the fridge, as I told you, freezes and a couple of the burners, so it was short-lived. But we're looking forward to being able to do that more with some of the caterers in the area. We also have a beautiful community garden, and our gardeners come together annually to do a taste test of the products that they produced in the garden. And so this, you know, once the kitchen's there and fully functioning, we look forward to having more taste tests and bringing people together.
Beautiful. I like that. Bring community together through food.
Yes.
Thank you, Veronica. Jordan, would love to get your perspective, not only as an employee of one of the main funders, but also as someone who works in the private sector, you know, on what that means to kind of get insight and experience into the community, into the local community. So if you can share a little bit about what that participation in the panel process and all of that, what that was like for you, again, personally, and also as an employee of BMO.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. First of all, really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to have been on this panel as well. It was a tremendous experience for me, and alongside you, Dennis, and being led by you, Karen, you really did a fantastic job throughout the whole thing and kept us focused, so appreciate that. It was a very eye-opening experience for me, and I will add that I'm actually not from Nova Scotia originally, so I can't say that I was familiar with every single one of the centers who had submitted their proposals, but I certainly learned a lot about the good work that they're doing as I read through each and every one of them. And a few things really stuck out to me. One, the need in our community is clearly great. Food insecurity and social isolation, those are real, serious challenges that are faced by our community. And the work that's being done by these centers is absolutely incredible. And you obviously just heard a little bit about that from Veronica here. And you know, I do appreciate the fact that for the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund, these proposals were certainly centered around food, but I also came to appreciate that it really is more than just the meal. It's people coming together, it's the intergenerational connections, people of different backgrounds and perspectives, learning and sharing with one another, the programming that's available for our kids, you know, helping them be role models in our own communities. And of course, again, you had just kind of heard it here from Veronica, the different number of organizations that actually rely on these centers. And when you think to Akuma, how do you really run a successful food program when, well, you heard the reality with non-functioning appliances and a fridge that's actually freezing food. I'd wager that probably makes it pretty difficult to meet all those needs in the community. So very eye-opening for me in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of good work that's being done by these centers, and I do believe that United Way is a key player in helping these centers meet the needs of the community at large.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm also curious, just, given that was your first experience on the panel, if you walked away with any particular insights or pieces of advice that you'd like to share with everybody here?
Yeah, I would say, absolutely. As far as insight, I would say just the whole notion of business and community coming together around the same table for the benefit of the community. I do believe that good business and thriving communities go hand in hand, and I'm not sure that you can really have one without the other, at least sustainably over the long term. And I do believe that businesses do have an obligation to give back to the communities that nurture all of us, whether it's individuals, business owners, companies, whatever the case might be. That obligation is real, and this panel with United Way was exactly that opportunity. We had people of different backgrounds and perspectives that came together to work on something that's going to make a real difference in the community. So I would say business community coming together. Well, let's do more of that and see if we can keep it going.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question, and so I would love to this time throw the question out to the entire panel and get your opinions or perspectives on this here as well. We touched on this a little bit, that this fund is a great example of innovation at United Way Halifax. And so with that in mind, what is one vision or hope that you have for our community, or the specific communities that you serve? And then what is one thing that you'd like to see from United Way, or how would you like us to show up in support of that vision? And maybe we'll start with you, Karen.
Sure, thank you, Kenny. I've been around United Way for quite a long time, in a few iterations over the years. But I will say that one of the principles that has not changed for me and for United Way is that United Way meets the needs of community based on what community tells us. So for me, it's about being involved with community, listening to community, and responding based on those needs. So I hope that never changes, and I look forward to doing that over many years.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Dennis, how about from you?
Great question, by the way. I think you guys are onto something here. I think that all parties that are effective, involved, even the ones we support must be at the table. We have to hear all voices to make good decisions, concrete decisions. So I think it starts with that, where we do that. And like, for instance, Love Nova Scotia this year, we learned an incredible lesson. I mean, we were feeding our youth, but, they have families. So we learned through the pandemic that we've got to feed families, not individual people. So that was an eye-opener. And I have to say, one of the reasons I'm here today, honestly, it was easy to come here today, was just that, the COVID relief fund, that you guys had, and that we were able to access, so we could, when we could shift into that mode when we were learning. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. You guys are good. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a powerful example.
Yeah.
Veronica, how about from your perspective?
Okay, as we've heard, food is central to people coming together. No matter what event it is, there's some type of food. And so that needs to be factored in to budgets. So in grant planning, that needs to be always included. The need to have a hygienic and working place where people can come together with food is really important. And now through this fund, we're able to do that at Akuma. And I do open the invitation for folks to utilize our facility and see our new kitchen once it's done.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
And how about from your perspective, Jordan?
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot of need in our community, and as we've seen, over the last year and a half, especially around, housing and health and mental health in general. I saw with this panel, and I guess it was already spoken to already, as far as engaging the people that are actually impacted by these issues directly and bringing them to the table to figure out how we can actually best help them. That was definitely a takeaway with the Neighbourhood Kitchen Fund and the panel experience. And with that in mind, I would say I'd love nothing more than to see these neighborhood kitchens thriving. I know the work doesn't stop as far as doing, kitchen and food related upgrades. I know there's a lot at play there, but in the years down the road, I'd love nothing more to see them thriving and continuing to deliver the programming that they want to deliver.
Thank you. Thank you all for that. I think, my biggest takeaway from the conversation here, and what I've heard from every single one of you, is the power of including first voices in the conversation from the very beginning and bringing people to the table. And I can think of no better way to explain what Better Together represents for United Way Halifax and for us in community. So again, just thank you so much for your time, each and every one of you, and look forward to continuing to support you and to continue to work together. And to help you in the work that you're doing. With that, I will turn it over now to Osa, who I believe is joining us virtually for the next part of the program.
There we go, I'll unmute. I hope everyone can hear me. Thank you, Kenny. I'm joining you as I'm going to provide the Governance Committee report to the board. And first, I want to start by acknowledging the members of the Governance Committee. They include Mike Christie, Laura Godsoe, Kenny Hilaire, and Craig Thompson. And I also would like to acknowledge the wonderful support that's provided to our committee by Lucy Halford and Sarah Napier. The two of them are just terrific. When we gather as a committee, everything we need is in place, and I know that does not happen easily. So thank you. So my report today focuses on board membership, and I'm pleased to introduce 6 people who are nominated to serve on the board of directors, each for a 3-year period. So I'll give a brief description of each one. So the first is Dr. Christa Janegaard. So Dr. Christa Janegaard is the IWK Health Center's president and CEO. And Christa first joined the IWK in 1996 in the Division of Neonatal and Perinatal Medicine. In 2008, she assumed the role of medical director of the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, and in 2010 became the Neonatal Perinatal Medicine Division head. In 2016, Christa became the VP Medicine and Academic Affairs of the IWK, and in 2018 assumed the permanent role of President and CEO. In addition, Christa is an associate professor at Dalhousie University in the Department of Pediatrics and the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Christa completed her medical training at Dalhousie University, where she also later earned a Master of Health Administration and was awarded the Glenmore Memorial Award and the Nova Scotia Association of Health Organizations Award for Academic Excellence. So next is John Mcculloch. John Mcculloch has been the Chief Financial Officer of the Universal Realty Group for the past 15 years. He's an FCPA, FCGA, having received his CGA designation in 1999, and he was awarded the fellowship in 2006. He also has an MBA degree from St. Mary's University. John was involved extensively with the CGA Association prior to the merger with CPA, and he served 2 terms as the president of CGA Nova Scotia, as well as serving on the board of CGA Canada. He also was involved on a variety of committees, including serving as chair of the CGA Canada Audit Committee. Most recently, John served for 2 terms on the board of the YMCA of Greater Halifax Dartmouth, where he was also the chair of both the Audit and Finance Committees. John has been a lifelong resident of Halifax and resides in Central Halifax with his partner of 15 years and 2 Cairn Terriers. Third is Twyla Gross. Twyla Gross is a native of Cherrybrook, Nova Scotia. She received her Bachelor of Business Administration degree in 1983 from Mount St. Vincent University. And in February 2020, she retired after 36 years at Halifax Stanfield International Airport. She's been employed with the Black Cultural Centre, Transport Canada, and the Halifax International Airport Authority. A retired budget analyst, business planning manager, and accountant by profession, she has a vast amount of experience developing and managing operating and capital budgets, business and financial planning, and delivering training on financial management and budget formulation and control. She has received numerous awards and commendations, including the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, Government of Canada International Year of Volunteers, and the National Public Service Community Service Award. Twyla was also appointed to the Black Cultural Society's Reverend Dr. W.P. Oliver Wall of Honor. Twyla currently serves on the following boards of the Black Cultural Society, Alderney Landing Community Culture Center, Atlantic Baptist Foundation, and Southeastern Community Health Board. Twyla's motto is simple: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think that's a pretty nice fit for the United Way. So fourth is Osama Nasrallah. As a small business advisor with Scotiabank and MBA student at St. Mary's University and small business owner of Harbor Watercraft, Osama brings passion for all things financial, community relations, and management. During his time at St. Mary's University, Osama was the president and CEO of St. Mary's University Student Association for 2 terms. He served on multiple boards while gaining experience in advocacy, governance, and government relations. Through his role with Scotiabank, Osama helps and supports local not-for-profits and small businesses in the region to grow and succeed. He engages daily in a civically based approach with our community and believes the Maritimes is a growing economy and a place for many immigrants now can now call home. As a newcomer to Nova Scotia, Osama values the community engagement and the importance of giving back. He currently serves on multiple boards in Halifax and recognizes the importance of having a diverse and inclusive community. Paul Wozney. Born and raised in Halifax and Herring Cove, Nova Scotia, Paul Wozney is a graduate of J.L. Lilsey High School and holds degrees from Dalhousie, McGill, and Mount St. Vincent universities. Paul is currently pursuing a Master of Laws at the Schulich School of Law with a focus on restorative practices and labor relations. In his 23rd year of teaching, Paul Wozney was re-elected 45th president of the Nova Scotia Teachers Union on October 28, 2020. Prior to his term, he taught at Charles P. Allen High School in Bedford. As president, Paul has worked to improve NSTU's governance to better serve members, implementing anti-racism programs for NSTU members, and partnering with equity-deserving members on structural reform. In the fall of 2018, Paul was the first NSTU president elected as executive vice president of the Nova Scotia Federation of Labor, and he was re-elected in 2019. He's also director of the Council of Atlantic Provinces and Territory Teachers Organizations. He served a term as vice president of the Canadian Teachers Federation in 2019-20 and was elected to serve a term in the same role for 2021 to 2023. During which he will serve as chair of the CTF-FCE's Committee on Diversity and Human Rights. Quentrell Provo. Quentrell Provo is a singer, songwriter, and an award-winning anti-violence activist. He is the founder and CEO of the Stop the Violence brand and movement, which he formed after the tragic killing of a family member in 2012. Known as Mr. Stop the Violence, Quentrell is passionate about taking a stand against violence and promoting a message of love and inspiration. On June 10, 2016, Stop the Violence Day was proclaimed in Nova Scotia to promote awareness and kindness and honor victims and families impacted by violence. For his many achievements in activism and service to his community, Quentrell has been recognized by the Coast as the Silver Best Activist. He was awarded the Dr. Winona Foster Community Service Excellence Award by Veterans Affairs Canada and was awarded the Delmore Buddy Day Learning Institute Ancestral Award for Civic Engagement in 2018. In 2019, he received the Senate of Canada 150 Medal and was named as one of the world's top 100 most influential people of African descent under 40, the first African Nova Scotian to receive the honor. In 2020, he was named one of 20 outstanding Black men in Canada by Shifters magazine and was a recipient of the Paul Harris Fellowship Award from the Halifax Harborside Rotary Club in 2021. He also serves as the Justice Champion for the Michel Jean Foundation. Quentrell's commitment to important causes and his community continues through his engagement, speaking and singing at schools and conferences, and hosting Stop the Violence initiatives across the province and country. Through his work, he aims to spread the message of love against violence and raise awareness throughout Nova Scotia and beyond. So those are our 6 nominees. The process for proposing additional nominees to the board is outlined in Bylaw Number 1, Article 504B. No further nominations have been made. So I would like to put forth the following motion, that the proposed slate of directors be appointed to the United Way Board of Halifax for a 3-year term. And if you're in the room, please raise your hand. And if you're participating online, please type your first and last name in the chat box if you would like to move or second the motion. And through the great technology, I will soon have the names of our mover and a seconder. All right, so Catherine is moving that. Catherine Tector, I presume. And Bradley Day, I believe, is our seconder. So I have Catherine and Bradley as my mover and seconder. So now I encourage people to vote online. So all in favor or anyone opposed, and I will just wait a moment for the voting to conclude. Okay, all in favor, that motion carries. I just want to say a real thank you to the 6 people who are stepping forward. Just excellent, excellent candidates. It makes me feel a little, makes me feel good that I can step aside and we'll have just a great team there to carry things forward. So I also wanted to mention that the Governance Committee will propose the following officers of the board meeting later this month. So Kenny Hilaire as chair, Dale Noseworthy is the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee, Victoria Jollymore is the chair of the Community Impact Committee, Laura Godso as the chair of the Governance Committee, and Jennifer Angel as the chair of the Strategic Fundraising Cabinet. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize our retiring board members. So serving on the United Way Board of Directors is a rewarding and meaningful experience, and I'm grateful to serve with a board that is so committed and engaged. So today I'm pleased to highlight the work and the leadership of our retiring board members, Max Chauvin, Jane Fraser, and Brad Smith. These individuals have provided time and support and expertise to the organization, and we are very grateful for their contribution. Max Chauvin has served on the board for 6 years and has been an exceptionally engaged volunteer. He served as chair of the Housing and Homelessness Partnership, is an active volunteer on our Community Impact Committee, and has taken part in various strategic planning sessions and is always happy to speak about the impact of the United Way. Jane Fraser served on the board for a short period of time. However, she provided great expertise in change management, finance, and technology around the board table. Brad Smith also served on the board for 6 years. In that time, he volunteered on various committees, including chairing our premises search committee, and he was always available to provide staff with support and advice. Brad is a true champion for United Way in his workplace, mainline building trades. A big thank you to Max, Jane, and Brad, who will all be missed on the board, and your legacy of contributions will always be appreciated. On a personal note, I also want to mention that this AGM marks the end of my 6-year term on the board. I've had the opportunity to volunteer with many organizations in my life and can say unequivocally that these 6 years on the United Way board have changed me profoundly in how I live and work and understand my community, and in the conversations I have personally and professionally. The United Way has helped me see and commit to working to resolve the great challenges our community faces, challenges that for me are now unignorable. I've also had the joy of working with such a resilient and creative and capable staff team and such a committed board. It's been a true honor. Although I'm wrapping up my time on the board, my commitment to the United Way will continue. So thank you. And that concludes the report from the Governance Committee. And I now invite Sarah to present the Staff Service Awards.
Thank you, OSA. On behalf of the board and organization, I would also like to thank OSA, who thanked everyone else, but she, of course, would not thank herself for an incredible 6 years of contribution to our board. And we are very fortunate that OSA will be staying on with us as a member of our governance committee, and will continue to learn from her in the time ahead. And I think we need to take a moment. This is kind of one of these strange in-person virtual things that, can we just say, like, wow, congratulations, and a big warm welcome? Maybe all the new board members could stand, those who are here. Thank you. Really, really delighted that you could all be here. We know that we're missing Twyla, and we're also missing John, but we'll have the opportunity to come together very soon in person. And I just also want to really, truly thank our outgoing board members who are here today. You know, Max and Brad, you remain such incredible champions. I'll be a little bit of a cliche here, maybe quote the Hotel California. You know, once you become a part of the United Way, maybe there's really not a way of leaving. We know that those friendships and those learnings and those engagements will continue. And so just very, very grateful. And congratulations as well to all those board members who are here. Continued thanks to you. And I'm truly delighted about the time that we're going to have ahead to work and continue the good work of United Way and community. So now I have the opportunity to talk about the incredible United Way Halifax team. And in particular, this is a chance to recognize individuals who are being awarded for their long service. And we recognize at United Way Halifax, we recognize team members on different anniversary dates of 5, 10, 15 years, etc. And we have 3 people to acknowledge today who have just hit a 5-year milestone of working with United Way. And we also have a 10-year milestone to recognize today. So I'm going to now probably embarrass each of them for a few minutes, but you have to bear with me. The first that I'd like to recognize is Amanda Mcdonald. Amanda, why don't you stand for a moment? And don't worry, you don't have to stand the whole time. This is Amanda Mcdonald. Amanda is celebrating 5 years with United Way Halifax, and she is our creative services manager. So the work that Amanda does, she brings her talents for creative production, project leadership, and relationship building to her role. So she's often the behind-the-scenes person or part of a team that's really developing so much of our donor experience, from fundraising campaigns to our website, donor engagement events, and of course all of the impact reports, including the annual report and the EDI report that were referenced earlier today. She has a unique role of working closely with colleagues in every department across the organization, and she also works very hard to bring different ideas to life. And she also collaborates with suppliers, storytellers, and partners in community, as well as colleagues with United Way across Atlantic Canada. So we're very grateful to you, Amanda, for 5 amazing years, your commitment to United Way, your empathy, and your passion. So huge thanks to you and congratulations. The next person I'd like to recognize is Wen Zhu. Wen, could you stand, please? Wonderful. Since starting with United Way 5 years ago, Wen has played a number of key roles on our team. She worked first as part of the development engagement team as a development assistant, and she is now providing exceptional technology, donor, and service support as our data analyst on the finance and technology team. Wen has made a huge difference in the past 5 years. She has an amazing attention to detail and a true passion for learning through new processes as well as projects and with meeting different people. And Wen, we're just so delighted that you found your way to United Way, and we're feeling very grateful for your dedication. So congratulations on your 5 years. Okay, Nicole, I'm looking at you. Everyone, this is Nicole Cameron. Nicole is our Manager of Development and Engagement, and she is also celebrating 5 years with United Way Halifax today. So every workplace, I think we know, all of us feel this way, we need people who inspire others and have hearts for the mission of the organization, and Nicole is certainly an embodiment of this person. For the last 5 years, Nicole has been an incredible talent, and she's been a part of leading the team's success in fundraising, including our workplace giving campaigns. Just this morning, she was down part of a big swim that was happening across the harbor to kick off our workplace campaign. So there's no rest for the wicked, I guess they say, and for the amazing. Nicole brings professionalism, dedication, and passion to everything that she does, and she always seeks to collaborate with others, and she brings the values that United Way holds very dear to life as well, including respect, collaboration, and compassion. You're a huge asset, Nicole, to the team, and we're so glad that once you experienced United Way as a seconded campaign associate, that stuck and that inspired you to join the organization. So a big thank you to you, Nicole. And the person that we're celebrating 10 years for today is Sarah White. Sarah. Sarah has to put her phone down because she's also managing the social media for this event, I'm guessing, right? Very good. Sarah is our communications manager and has been celebrating, as I mentioned, 10 years, which is hard to believe. I'm sure it feels like a flash in many ways, Sarah. And I just am so very grateful, as I know the whole team is, for the thoughtfulness and the care that you bring to your work every day, and in how we use our United Way voice in our various forms of communication and our work in community. So Sarah's an excellent writer. She has great instincts on how to use communication to connect with people and navigate complex topics. And her talents are really woven throughout everything that we do and what we say, from every AGM and annual report, and every single media interaction, interview, blog post, announcement, speeches, so much more. And really, Sarah helps us all to be better communicators, and she inspires us with her passion for social change, which is really genuine to the core. Important to note, Sarah also does all of this while being an amazing mom to 2 young daughters who are deservedly the lights of her life. So Sarah, congratulations to you, and thank you for an amazing 10 years. So to our 4 recipients, you know how much we all adore you and think highly of you and just are delighted to work with you every day. So big thank you, congratulations, and we will celebrate more in the time ahead. But just thank you for everything you do for United Way and for our communities and the people that we serve. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the rest of the staff team. In addition to the 4 that we've recognized today, I can't tell you how grateful I am for the talent of the United Way team. It's an amazingly special group, very, very caring, adaptable, creative, progressive thinkers, really just collaborative, and there's just such a wonderful unity of the team, and one where there's a lot of discussion to help make sure that we're doing the right things all the time. And it's a real joy for me to work with you every day. So huge thank you to all of you. I know it's been, continues to be, we're motivated by making our communities better, and the past year and a half have really put that to the test in terms of the amount of work and the conditions in which we're working. And everyone just rose to the challenge to see the opportunity for good as being the driving force first and foremost. So you are just so super awesome. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Truly, from my heart to yours. So as was mentioned throughout this day, the theme of our annual report that is online is Better Together. And that is a perfect phrase to summarize the shared progress, again, in the past year, but also what we'll be doing in the time ahead. And I wanted just to highlight a couple of the things that are coming up in the next year that I'd like to keep on the radar, because we're very proud of them, and we hope that there will be programs and initiatives that involve you or have the opportunity to involve you in different ways. First, in just a few weeks, on September 24th, we will be virtually hosting a United by Song, which is a showcase of stories of resiliency and original song created to mark those stories that we're doing in collaboration with our partners across Atlantic Canada. And we're very delighted and excited about the types of powerful stories that we're going to be sharing and how we'll be learning from the individuals who share those stories with us, as well as the creative original talent that comes out of that work. This fall, you will also hear more and more about an Atlantic Public Policy Institute, which we're working on with the Delmore Buddy Day Learning Institute, Nova Scotia Community College, and the Max Bell Foundation, and more. So very excited to talk more about what that work is going to look like, as there will be more opportunities for partnering in that space. Our work in neighborhoods continues, as you heard us talk about the neighborhood kitchen hubs a few moments ago, and thanks again to our wonderful panel for sharing your thoughts. We are continuing to work on neighborhood hub development and really ensuring that we support the network of hubs across HRM and see that they're further strengthened to contribute and be an access point and a gathering point and a learning point for our communities. And as mentioned by Craig earlier in the meeting, we will continue to expand our collaboration with the Halifax Partnership to strengthen the social and community impact of new businesses in HRM. And we're really quite delighted to see that work come to life as well. So more to come there. Finally, we will be launching our new strategic plan in 2022. A lot of great work happening in that regard, and that's going to be a really important scene setter for the future of United Way over the next several years. So all of this work is only possible with amazing staff, as we've talked about, with amazing board members, volunteers, partners. We've covered all of those themes today for sure, and the amazing generous donors who support the work of United Way. And also, all of this work is not possible without a broader, engaged community. So we're grateful for everyone who's really stepping up and caring for the community and doing your own part to make a difference. And certainly, thank you for supporting and working with United Way. So to create that positive impact, it does take that full community to care deeply and work together. And in this spirit, I'd like to welcome Mayor Mike Savage to close our AGM with some words of appreciation to the broader community. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much to Sarah, to the wonderful folks at United Way, to Craig and Kenny, the board, everybody who's put so much, the staff that we've heard about. Pleased to be here in the traditional and the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and to honor the peace and friendship treaties that we should all honor and bring to life every day. I'm also pleased to be at the Convention Center. Suzanne, this place is coming back to life. Can you kind of feel it? We're a little bit far apart, but September 15th is very soon. And I would just want to say that this convention center has served such a wonderful purpose during COVID. I've been tested 11 times down below in the rapid testing, and it's amazing what the convention center has done during very difficult times, so I'm delighted to be here. Sarah, it's always a pleasure to work with you. We've done a lot of work together in my time as mayor. We've sat at tables, chairing meetings, and I want to thank the people. So to the new board members, I see a bunch of you here. Awesome. You can't do any better than to be part of United Way, and to hear your qualifications is kind of humbling. It's amazing what you've done so far and what you will continue to do, and delighted that you're bringing your talents to the United Way. I also want to acknowledge those who are leaving the board. So all of whom I know, I think. Jane Fraser, OSA, amazing OSA. Brad Smith, who has done so much work with the building trades, with United Way in the community. Is Brad still here? He was here a second ago. And as Craig would know, with Hope Blooms and with a lot of other really cool projects in the community. And Max. So I got involved in United Way over a decade ago. Catherine Woodman called me, and she kind of said that Hotel California line, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. The only way I got out of it was I got elected mayor. But in the meantime, I think I was the guy that brought Max to United Way. I was chairing a committee for United Way, and we needed a really sharp shooter, and we got Max to come in, and he eventually ended up chairing that committee and going on to a long and distinguished history with United Way. So, Max, you fulfilled my life sentence, along with many other people. And I want to wish all of you, Brad and Osa and Jane, the very best. Thank you to all the donors, the volunteers, the stakeholders, and most importantly, frontline staff at the United Way, and for all the United Way funded programs, who consistently go above and beyond to ensure that our most vulnerable residents are looked after. I'm so grateful for your compassion and care. This last number of months is unprecedented. I think we've heard that before. When I think about going back to March the 12th of last year, if anybody would have thought we'd be in stage 4 in September of 2021, like, it's unbelievable. But within a month, the United Way was on the job, putting together the Compassion Fund and recognizing the support that the community needed. It's pretty amazing. Since being mayor, we've worked very closely with United Way. We started a housing and homelessness partnership, I think in 2015 or 14, which had led to a Housing First project in the north end of Halifax and a number of the other initiatives that the city's undertaken to provide housing. More particularly, the Poverty Solutions Task Force, which Sarah and I co-chaired, which was an amazing combination. Anybody in this room was on that group with the masks? I can't see. I know Sarah was. It was NGOs, it was business, it was community members. Perhaps most importantly, it was people who had lived experience or still living in poverty that informed that 128 recommendations, of which a number we have already implemented. Of course, the work with the partnership you mentioned, I know that the United Way is working with the Mi'kmaq Friendship Center and a whole host of other organizations to build better communities for all of us. So the road to recovery goes on. It's a challenge, but I can't think of an organization that has done more. Although I will say that in this community, people came together in a way that I don't think they did everywhere. Patrick Sullivan and the Chamber, many of you were on the calls that Patrick put together. Discover Halifax, Develop Nova Scotia. So many people, including private businesses who had to shut down, but still put together community kitchens, and issues that hit us that were solved by people coming together was really remarkable. So thank you to all of you who are here. There's Nicole on the screen. Thank you to all who are here. Thank you to those who are here virtually. We have lots more work to do, and we hope that people continue to put their trust in the United Way, Halifax. It's amazing work. And all I can say is thank you, merci beaucoup, Wallaliuk, and the work will continue. Do I ask for a motion to adjourn? Somebody said I did. Oh, okay, great. So I counsel. All right. Does somebody want to move adjournment of the meeting? Okay, let's start over again. Osama, sir, you moved adjournment. Thank you very much. We will be adjourned. Keep up the great work, everybody. Thank you very much.